At my own birthday party, my husband's blonde best friend threw my DNA test results on the cake in front of 200 guests, screaming I was a cheating. Everyone gasped. I smiled because those weren't my test results. They were hers. And my husband, he was about to learn who really betrayed him. What I'm about to tell you sounds like a movie, but I lived through every cruel second of it. Before I reveal how one party destroyed 3 lives forever, smash that subscribe button because this story has more twists than you can imagine. And trust me, by the end, you'll understand why revenge is a dish best served in front of everyone you know. Now, let me take you back to the nightmare that became my liberation. My name is Lydia Hart, or at least it was before I took back my maiden name. For 8 years, I was married to Lawrence Hart, a tech billionaire worth about $300 million. We had 3 beautiful children together, twin boys who just turned 7, and a daughter who's 5. On paper, my life looked like a fairy tale. A black girl from the South Side who worked her way through college, became a financial analyst, and somehow caught the eye of one of the most eligible bachelors in Connecticut. We fell in love. Real love. Or so I thought. The kind where he'd send me flowers every Friday. Where he'd sneak into my office just to kiss me. Where he proposed on a beach in Bali with tears in his eyes. His family hated me from the beginning. Of course, I wasn't their type. I wasn't blonde. I wasn't from their country club. I didn't summer in the Hamptons or winter in Aspen. But Lawrence stood up to them. He chose me. And for years that was enough to weather every racist comment from his mother, every cold shoulder at family dinners. Every time his father pretended not to remember my name, I thought our love could survive anything. I was wrong. Everything changed when Vanessa Pierce came back into his life. She'd always been there, lurking in the background like a shadow. I couldn't quite shake Lawrence's best friend from college. She'd been his confidant for over 20 years. Vanessa was everything I wasn't. Tall, blonde, trust fund baby, part of their world since birth. She used to live in California, married to some hedge fund manager, so I rarely saw her. But last year her marriage fell apart, and suddenly she was back in Connecticut, and suddenly she was everywhere. At first, it was just weekly dinners. Then it was twice a week, then she had a key to our house. Lawrence said I was being paranoid when I objected. She's like my sister Lydia. She's going through a hard time. Where's your compassion? So, I swallowed my discomfort and played the good wife. I smiled when she showed up uninvited to our family barbecues. I laughed at her inside jokes with Lawrence that I didn't understand. I pretended not to notice how she'd touch his arm, his shoulder, his back, how she'd whisper in his ear, and make him laugh in a way I hadn't heard in months. But my daughter noticed one night while I was tucking her in. She said, "Mommy, I don't like the mean, pretty lady." When I asked her why, she said, "She looks at Daddy the way you look at Daddy, but she looks at us like we're bad." Kids see things adults try to ignore, don't they? The humiliations started small. Vanessa hosted a charity luncheon and introduced me to the other women as the help who got lucky. Everyone laughed. Lawrence laughed. I stood there in my designer dress, face burning, and realized I was completely alone. Then came the wardrobe incidents. I'd planned to wear a specific dress to an event, and Vanessa would show up in the exact same one. Great minds think alike, Lydia. She'd chirp, knowing full well I'd have to go home and change. She'd comment on my hair, my skin tone, suggesting I try this cream or that treatment to even things out. When I spoke, she'd correct my grammar in front of Lawrence's colleagues. "I think you mean whom, sweetie. Don't worry, it's a common mistake." Every time I complained to Lawrence, he'd tell me I was too sensitive, that I was imagining things, that Vanessa was just trying to help me fit into their world. "She cares about you, Lydia. Why can't you see that?" The gaslighting was so subtle, so consistent that I started doubting myself. Maybe I was paranoid. Maybe I was jealous. Maybe I was the problem. Then things got darker. I started noticing charges on my credit card for hotel rooms I'd never been to. When I brought it up to Lawrence, Vanessa happened to be there and she casually mentioned seeing me at a downtown restaurant with a very handsome man. I'd never been to that restaurant, I'd never met with any man. But Lawrence's eyes changed when she said it. Suspicion crept in like poison. His mother started asking strange questions at Sunday dinners. Do the boys really have Lawrence's nose? I just don't see it. Your daughter's hair is so different from Lawrence's baby pictures. The entire family was discussing my supposed infidelity, like it was an established fact. I found Vanessa's earring in my bedroom one day. When I confronted her, she said she'd been looking for the bathroom. In my bedroom, on the second floor, when there were 3 bathrooms on the first floor, Lawrence defended her. You're being crazy, Lydia. She's been in my life longer than you have. I trust her. That's when I knew I needed insurance. I hired a private investigator, not to follow me, but to follow them. What he discovered over the next 3 months made my blood run cold. But it also gave me power. You see, while Vanessa was busy planting evidence of my fictional affair, she was conducting a very real one with my husband. It happened 6 months earlier when I'd flown to Georgia to be with my mother after her surgery. Vanessa showed up at our house with wine and sympathy. Lawrence was stressed. She was available. And apparently 20 years of friendship turned into one night of betrayal. Just once, he told me later. As if that mattered. As if once was somehow noble. But here's what Lawrence didn't know. Vanessa got pregnant from that one night. And she'd been planning ever since. My investigator uncovered everything. The photoshopped pictures of me with Vanessa's own cousin, whom she'd paid $5,000 to pose with me in compromising positions. The cloned credit card she'd used to book hotel rooms in my name. The burner phone she'd bought to send my husband anonymous tips about my cheating. She'd even paid someone to call our house asking for me, pretending to be a lover when Lawrence answered. But the most damning discovery, Vanessa had embezzled $12 million from Lawrence's company over the past year. She'd been his chief financial officer, the one person he trusted with everything. She'd created fake vendors, phantom contracts, offshore accounts. She used that money to fund her plan to destroy me. Hired actors, bought fake evidence, even bribed Lawrence's mother with $500,000 to turn against me, his own mother. The woman had taken blood money to help erase her own grandchildren's mother. The cruelty escalated. At my son's school play, Vanessa loudly questioned whether Lawrence was sure they were his. In front of other parents. I was removed from the PTA board over moral character concerns. She sent me flowers with cards that said things like, "For the performance of your life, and how long can you keep up the act?" Then came the night Lawrence came home drunk, tears streaming down his face. Vanessa had shown him her manufactured proof, the doctored photos, the hotel receipts, everything. He screamed at me in front of our children. Called me a liar, a cheater, a gold digger. Demanded DNA tests for all 3 kids. Said his lawyer already had divorce papers drawn up and that I'd be lucky to leave with anything Vanessa had helped him plan at all. I agreed to the tests calmly, too calmly. Lawrence was so angry he didn't notice that I wasn't scared. I wasn't crying. I wasn't begging. I just said, "Okay, Lawrence, let's do the tests. Let's reveal everything." Something in my voice must have registered because he paused for a moment. But Vanessa, who was suddenly always around, pushed harder. See, she's not even denying it. She knows she's caught. The DNA tests were scheduled, processed, and ready within 2 weeks. But before the results came back, Lawrence insisted on throwing me a birthday party. I turned 35 that year, and he wanted to celebrate me properly. He said, "I knew it was Vanessa's idea. I knew what she was planning. My investigator had warned me. She'd obtained fake DNA results, planned to expose me publicly, destroy me in front of everyone who mattered in our social circle. She wanted to humiliate me so thoroughly that I'd leave on my own, take nothing, disappear. So, I let her plan the party. I played along. I bought a beautiful dress, had my hair done, smiled for everyone. 200 guests at our estate, family, friends, business associates, society reporters. It was the event of the season. Vanessa wore white to my birthday party. white like a bride. She clung to Lawrence's arm all night, and he let her. His family smirked at me, knowing what was coming. My own family looked worried, sensing something was wrong, but not knowing what. The cake came out. A massive 5-tier masterpiece. Everyone gathered around singing. I stood there surrounded by people waiting for a show, and I gave them one, just not the one they expected. Vanessa stood up, tapping her champagne glass until the room fell silent. I have a very special surprise for the birthday girl. Her voice was sickly sweet, dripping with false affection. She pulled out an envelope, waving it theatrically. These are Lydia's DNA test results. The ones comparing Lawrence to those children, she claims are his. Let's see the truth. Shall we? The room gasped. Phones came out. People started recording. This was the kind of drama they'd talk about for years. Lawrence looked shocked, but he didn't stop her. He just stood there frozen. That's when I knew our marriage had died. Long before this moment, Vanessa ripped open the envelope with flourish. She started reading. Excluded as biological father. She screamed it. Lawrence Hart is excluded as the biological father. She's a lying, cheating gold digger. She trapped you, Lawrence. She trapped all of us. She threw the papers onto my birthday cake, destroying it. Frosting and documents everywhere. Lawrence's mother actually fainted. His father was yelling for security to remove me from my own home. Guests were recording everything, some crying, some excited to witness my downfall. My children were in the corner with their nanny, crying, terrified. Lawrence wouldn't even look at me. Vanessa was hugging him, fake tears streaming down her face. I tried to warn you, Lawrence. I tried. But she had you so fooled. Thank God the truth came out before she took everything from you. That's when I started laughing, soft at first, then louder. The room went silent. Everyone stared at me like I'd lost my mind. Maybe I had. Or maybe I'd finally found it. Vanessa, honey, I said, my voice carrying across the silent room. You grabbed the wrong envelope. I pulled out my phone, connected it to the party's projection screen that was supposed to show my birthday photos. Let me show everyone what you meant to share. The real DNA results appeared on the screen. 99.9% probability that Lawrence Hart was the father of all 3 children. All 3. The room erupted in confused murmurs. Vanessa's face went white. Lawrence looked up confused. Broken. Those fake results you just read? I continued, my voice steady. You had them printed at Kinko's this morning. Fake documents. Fraud. That's a felony, by the way. I clicked to the next image. Security footage of Vanessa at Kinko. Timestamp visible. But I wasn't done. Not even close. I showed them everything. Photos of Vanessa breaking into my car to plant evidence. Bank transfers showing the $5,000 she paid her cousin to pose with me, hotel records that proved she booked those rooms using my cloned credit card. Text messages between her and Lawrence's mother, planning my destruction, discussing how much money it would take to turn Lawrence's family against me. The room was completely silent now. You could hear people breathing. But wait, I said, channeling my best infomercial voice. There's more. I clicked to Vanessa's medical records. Vanessa is 6 months pregnant. More gasps. Lawrence's head snapped toward her. She was shaking. And here's the hotel record from the night she seduced my husband while I was caring for my dying mother. I showed them everything. The emails between Vanessa and Lawrence's mother, the $500,000 bribe, the texts that said things like, once that black woman is gone, everything will be as it should be, and the baby will seal everything, he'll have to marry me. Then I played the audio recording. Vanessa's voice, clear as day, talking to her therapist. I've loved him since college, since before he even knew what love was. That black woman stole my life. Stole the future I was supposed to have. But the baby will fix everything. Once everyone knows those kids aren't his. Once she's humiliated and gone, I'll be there. I've always been there. And this baby, our baby, will prove we're meant to be. Vanessa tried to run. Guests physically blocked the exits, wanting to see how this ended. Oh, Vanessa, one more thing, I said. You know those $12 million you embezzled from Lawrence's company? I found all of it. Every offshore account, every fake vendor, every fraudulent invoice. I turned it all over to the FBI 3 days ago. Right on cue, police sirens. I'd called them before the party started. Told them exactly when to arrive. Officers walked in and I pointed at Vanessa. That's her and that's her accomplice. I pointed at Lawrence's mother, who was being helped up from her fainting spell. Vanessa was dragged out, screaming, dropping her mask completely. The racial slurs that poured from her mouth made several guests gasp. She'd hidden it so well for so long. But now, in her moment of destruction, her true ugliness showed. Lawrence's mother went quietly in shock, realizing she destroyed her relationship with her son and grandchildren for money and prejudice. Lawrence fell to his knees in front of me. Lydia, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't. I looked down at him. This man I'd loved for almost a decade and felt nothing but pity. You chose her over your own children, Lawrence. You believed her over me. You let her humiliate me for months, and you helped her. You stood there tonight, ready to watch her destroy me, and you did nothing. I pulled out divorce papers from my purse. Sign these. My lawyers will contact yours. I walked out of that party with my head held high, my children's hands in mine, and I never looked back. The video of that party went viral. Of course, hundreds of people had recorded it. Within 24 hours, I was famous. Within a week, I was free. The divorce took 3 months. I got everything. The houses, the cars, $80 million in the settlement and full custody. Lawrence gets supervised visits with the kids every other weekend. He lost his company when the board found out he'd been negligent enough to let his CFO embezzle $12 million. His reputation never recovered. Vanessa is serving 15 years in federal prison for embezzlement and fraud. She lost the baby from the stress of the arrest and trial. Lawrence's mother was convicted as an accomplice and got 5 years. The family disowned her. She sends letters to the kids that I burn without opening. That was 6 months ago. Today, I run a foundation for women who've been humiliated by their partners. I help them gather evidence, find lawyers, and rebuild their lives. I've helped 43 women so far, each one stronger than the last. And me, I found love again. Real love this time. A man who looked at my story and said, I would have believed you from day one. A man who loves my children like they are his own. A man who never doubted me for a second. They tried to break me in front of everyone I knew. Vanessa thought she was throwing a party to destroy me. Turns out it was her own funeral, and I made sure everyone attended. If you stayed until the end, you're my kind of person. This isn't just a story. It's a warning. Subscribe right now because I've got more tales of revenge, justice, and women who refuse to stay silent. Hit that like button if you think Vanessa got what she deserved, and comment below. What would you have done at that party? I'm reading every single comment. Remember, they can humiliate you once, but the comeback, that's forever. See you in the next.